Welcome everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm Sara and this is yoga. So today we are going to work on our IT bands and that sciatic nerve area. So sciatic nerve pain, if you've never had it, count yourself lucky. Those of us that have had it or are experiencing it currently know it's no fun at all. And it usually exhibits as kind of a pain, sometimes in your low back or even in your buttock area or your hip. That sciatic nerve kind of does a lot of maneuvering through the body, and so it crosses a bunch of different joint areas. So there's a reason why sometimes it gets pinched and inflamed and causes us pain. So we're going to try to work on areas that are around the nerve. You can't really stretch a nerve. Well, I don't know, maybe you could, but we're going to try and stretch the muscles and ligaments and tendons around the nerve. So try to relieve some of that pain and pressure that you might experience. And then we'll also work on the IT bands. IT bands run from the outside of your hip down to the outside of the knee. So kind of in that same area. So just kind of all in that same general hip area. So we're going to start today on our backs. So please come to your mats and lie down. So coming into any comfortable position you choose, you can have those knees bent, or you can have the legs straight. If your knees are bent, you can point them straight up toward the ceiling. You could walk your feet out towards the edges of the mat, let the knees rest in against each other. Or you could bring the soles of your feet together, let your knees open out to the sides. So whatever feels best for you and your back today. I kind of always prefer the knees resting in against each other. It feels a little bit more relaxing for me. And then we'll just spend a few moments to start to connect with the breath. Taking some nice full deep inhales and exhales. Let's take a quick body scan here. Starting at the soles of the feet, making our way up the body. So moving through the ankles, the calves and the shins. Noticing what's happening in the knees and the thighs, and the hips, the low belly, the low back. Moving up into the ribs and the middle back, the upper back and the chest. Observing the shoulders, going down the arms into the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, the hands, the fingers. Scanning the neck and the head, including your face. Notice if you're holding any tension in your face. A lot of times we are, and we don't realize it until we try and release it. And then let's all go ahead and bend our knees now. Walking the feet out towards the edges of the mat, letting the knees rest in against each other. Moving your arms away from your body a little bit, and we'll start with some windshield wipers. So just taking the knees from side to side, just going back and forth at your own pace. Let's do a couple more on each side. And then we'll bring the knees to center, walking the feet in so they're about hip width apart, parallel, walking them in towards the bottom, taking arms all the way out to a T position, and then we'll drop both knees over to the right for a lying spinal twist. So keeping both of the shoulders on the mat, maybe turning your head to look down your left arm. And we'll release, bringing the knees up to center, and then dropping them over to the left, keeping both shoulders on the mat, maybe looking down your right arm. And then we'll start to move this with the breath, inhaling knees up to center, exhaling them to the right, inhaling them to center, and then exhaling them to the left. So just continue to move those knees from side to side, moving with your breath at your pace, keeping the shoulders on the mat, maybe lifting the feet up off the mat, maybe turning the head in the opposite direction of the knees as you twist. Let's take a few more on each side. And then we'll bring the knees back to center. If your feet are lifted, go ahead and release the feet back to the mat. Keep your arms out to a T. We're going to cross our left leg over our right thigh, slide the hips slightly to the left, and then take the knees over to the right. So keeping both shoulders on the mat again, maybe looking down your left arm. So just intensifying the twist a little bit by crossing the legs. This is not feeling great on your back right now, just uncross your legs and do the previous twist we did. And then we'll bring the knees up to center, keeping the legs crossed, and then just shifting your hips so they're centered again. Picking the feet up off the mat and then grabbing a hold of either the feet or the ankles, coming into a lying down cow's face pose, or Gomukhasana. So we're going to do this pose again later, upright, seated. But I want you to remember this version because this version is a little bit more forgiving, a little easier to get into than the seated version. So if that version doesn't work for you, you can always come back to this version. And we won't do that until much later in the practice. And then go ahead and release your feet. Take arms back out to a T. Uncross your legs, recross them the other way. Sliding the hips slightly to the right, dropping the knees over to the left. Again, keeping both shoulders down, maybe looking over your right shoulder. And then bringing those knees back up, bringing the hips back to center, and then picking the feet up, reaching for the ankles or the feet, and taking that lying down cow's face pose again, pulling your feet in towards you to really feel this. And then we'll release, uncrossing the legs and hugging the knees into the chest, taking some rocks from side to side. And then circling those knees around, first in one direction. And then in the opposite direction. Coming to center, either rolling to one side, making your way up to a seat that way, or grabbing a hold behind the knees and using the legs. Rocking back and forth 2 to 3 times until you come up into the seat. So coming into any comfortable seat you choose. You can sit cross-legged if you like, or extend your legs out in front of you into staff pose, sitting up nice and tall, rolling those shoulders up, back, and down. And we'll drop the chin down to the chest. Stretching the back of the neck, letting the head hang heavy. Taking the right ear towards the right shoulder. Keeping both shoulders down away from the ears. Releasing the chin back to the chest. And then taking the left ear towards the left shoulder. And then just moving with the breath. Exhaling chin to chest. Inhaling right ear, right shoulder. Exhaling the chin to the chest. Inhaling the left ear towards the left shoulder. So take a few more with your breath at your pace. Remembering you can always skip the chin to chest. If this half circle bothers your neck, you could just tip your head from side to side. Let's take one more to each side. Turning to center when we're done and lifting the chin so it's level with the floor. Keeping shoulders and torso still, turning the head to look over your right shoulder. Releasing through center and then looking over the left. Moving with your breath, inhaling through center, exhaling, alternating from side to side. So just moving the head, not turning the shoulders or the torso at all. Holding on one side, dropping the chin down towards the shoulder that you're looking over. Lifting the chin, coming through center, looking over the other shoulder, and then dropping the chin again. Lifting the chin, coming to center, bringing the hands behind the head, looking all the way up. And releasing, taking shoulder circles. First to the front. Take a couple more to the front. And then we'll circle them to the back. And we'll take one more. Resting our hands on our knees, and then we'll start to circle the torso around in the hips. Inhaling as you bring the chest forward, exhaling as you round the spine to the back. So moving with your breath at your pace, making these circles whatever size they need to be, whatever feels good for you and your hips and your back. Following your own breath's pace. Let's do a couple more in this direction. And then we'll pause and circle around the opposite direction again, inhaling to the front, exhaling to the back, moving with your breath. Let's do a couple more. And last one. Coming back to center. Let's go ahead and come into easy pose. So instead of crossing our ankles, we want to take that front leg out away from us a little bit and line up our ankles so that we can see both of our feet. And then we're going to walk the hands out to the front, folding over the legs, dropping the head between the arms. And then we'll lift the head and walk our hands away from our front leg. So my right leg is in front of my left. I'm going to walk my hands to my left. So if your left leg is in front, walk your hands to your right. And then drop the head between the arms again. You should feel a little bit more sensation on the hip of that front leg, or maybe a lot more sensation. Lifting the head, walking the hands to center, bringing them in, switching the legs, taking the other leg in front. Again, try to line up your ankles if possible, walking the hands out to the front, dropping the head between the arms. And then lifting the head, walking the hands away from your front leg. So the other side, and then drop the head again. Lifting the head, walking the hands to center, bringing them in. Let's bring the soles of our feet together, coming into Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose. So holding on to your ankles, not your feet, just your ankles, sitting up nice and tall, hinging it forward at the hips. If you like, you can lightly press your elbows into your knees to encourage them to get a little closer to the floor. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Spine is nice and neutral. And then we'll release and slide those feet up, double the distance away from us for star pose. So now we're making a diamond shape with our legs. Again, holding onto the ankles, sitting up nice and tall, hinging it forward at the hips. Elbows point out to the sides. And we'll release, making our way to all fours for some cat and cows. So bringing our wrists underneath our shoulders, our knees under our hips, fingers spread wide, patting your knees as needed with a blanket or by folding up your mat. Inhaling, we'll dip the belly down, looking up into cow. Exhaling, arching the spine, tucking the chin and the pelvis under into cat. So moving between cat and cow with your breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Keeping the elbows soft. Keeping the core engaged, the pelvic floor is lifted, warming up that spine a little bit more. Take a few more in each direction. And we'll take one more of each. Coming to a neutral spine when we're done. Let's inhale, take the left arm out to the side, bring it up, twist. Exhale, thread the needle, reach that left arm through, take your left ear to the mat. Your right hand can stay by your face, or you can extend that arm, either reaching out towards the front of the mat, reaching up toward the ceiling, or bringing that arm behind your back, reaching for your left hip. So taking that right arm to the place that feels best for you and your shoulders. So yes, we are working on sciatica and IT band, but we want to make sure we're getting the other body parts as well. And we'll bring that right hand back by the face, come back up to all fours, and we'll do the other side. Right arm reaches out and up, twist. Exhale, thread the needle, reach it through, take the right ear to the mat. Left hand again can stay where it is, or you can reach that arm out in any direction you choose. And you don't have to necessarily do the same thing on both sides, especially if you're dealing with an injury on one side. You want to make sure you take care of that injury. And bringing that left hand back by the face, coming back to all fours, and then sitting back into a child's pose. So Any version of child's pose you like. You can extend the arms out towards the front of the mat, or stack your hands or fists and rest the forehead on them, or bring your hands back by your feet with your palms facing up. The knees can stay together. You can separate them if you like. Remembering that you can always take a break and rest at any time during the practice today if you need to. Resting either in child's pose or in any other seated or lying down pose. Remembering that this is your practice, so feel free to modify or skip any poses that don't work for you today. Letting go of judgment, competition, and expectations. Staying with the breath in the present moment. So you can stay here a little while longer, or if you're ready, make your way into a downward facing dog. Planting the hands at the front of the mat, shoulder width apart, fingers spread wide, coming forward, tucking toes, lifting the hips up and back. Coming into that first downward dog. So maybe pedaling out your feet or making any other movements. There is a movement we can do with our downward dog that kind of specifically targets those IT bands. And if you want to do that, bring your feet a little bit closer together, come up onto toes, and then pivot both heels to one side. And then you're going to bend the knee of the leg that's closest to your head and press out through the other hip. So my right knee is bent and pressing out through my left hip. And then after holding that, switch sides. You can do that a couple times on each side if you like, or if you want to do any other movements that feel good, that's fine too. We'll eventually just settle into our downward dog, tucking the chin, looking back between the legs. And then looking up to the hands and walking the feet up to the hands. Coming into forward fold. So feet stay hip width apart. We'll soften knees, grab opposite elbows, letting that upper body just hang. Shaking the head out from side to side. Take it front to back. Swaying the whole torso from side to side. And we'll come back to center, releasing the elbows. We're not going to come up just yet. So you can rest your hands on the mat. If you happen to have a block, you could place your hands on the block. If not, you can bring them onto your shins or thighs. That's fine. Let's walk the feet together so that our big toes are touching. And then we're going to cross our right ankle over the left. Bending the right knee, but keeping the left leg straight and then pushing out through that left hip. So another IT band stretch. The more you can fold, the more intense you will feel this. And then we'll release, uncross the feet, recross them the other way. Left foot over the right. Left knee bends, right leg stays straight. Push that right hip out to the side. And we'll release, uncrossing the feet. Placing hands on shins or thighs, extending the spine, looking forward. Lift the head, lift the gaze. Take a couple of deep breaths here. On your next exhale, fold, softening the knees. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come all the way up. Exhaling, hands to the heart. Take a few deep breaths here. Take a big step out to the side. Setting up for moonflowers and sunflowers. So toes turn out about 45 degrees. On the next inhale, we're going to reach to the corners of the room. Exhaling, bending the knees, bringing the elbows into our sides, and inhale, reach it up and out. Exhale, bend. Couple more moonflowers. And exhale. Last one. And exhale, transitioning to sunflowers, inhaling, reaching arms all the way up, palms touch. Exhale, bend the knees, circle the arms down and around as we fold, and inhale brings us back up. Exhaling as we fold. Couple more here. And this last one, we're going to stay down with our hands. Bring your hands down to the mat or a block. You can widen your feet out a little bit. Keep your toes turned out 45 degrees. And then we're going to bend one knee at a time. Just oiling those hips. So you can leave your hands in the center or walk them from side to side. You can keep your toes down or you can lift up onto the heel. Let's do one more to each side. We'll return to center when we're done, bending both knees, walking the hands up onto the thighs. Your feet are a little wider than you feel like they should be. Heel toe them in a little bit. Keep them turned out, leaning slightly forward, pressing the right hand into the right thigh, looking over the left shoulder for a twist. And we'll release, switching sides. Releasing back to center. Let's inhale it up. Stepping the feet together at the top of the mat. Bringing the hands to the heart. Moving through some sun salutations. I'm just going to do my basic version, but if you want to change it up in any way, shape, or form, or modify it to fit your needs, please do so. On our next inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhaling as we swan back down, forward fold with soft knees, hands to the mat, right foot to the back. Staying on toes or lowering that knee down, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling them down and taking the left foot back for downward dog or child's pose. Inhaling to plank. Staying up on toes or lowering the knees, exhaling, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward dog or child's pose. Stepping the right foot up on the hands. If it gets stuck, just help it get there. Stay on toes or lower the left knee, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling them down and taking the left foot to the front. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come up. Exhale, the hands to the heart. And inhale, reach it up. Exhaling as we fold with soft knees, hands to the mat, left foot to the back this time. Stay up on the toes or lower the knee down, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling them down and taking the right foot back, downward dog or child's pose. Inhaling to plank. Staying up on toes or lowering the knees, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or dog. Exhale, downward dog or child's pose. Stepping that left foot up by the hands. Stay on the toes or drop the right knee, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling them down, taking the right foot to the front. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come up. Exhale, the hands to the heart. And inhale, reach it up. Exhale, fold it forward, soft knees. Right foot to the back. Stay up on the toes or drop the knee down, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling them down and taking the left foot back. Downward dog or child's pose. Inhaling to plank. Staying on toes or lowering the knees, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or dog. Exhale, downward dog or child's pose. Stepping the right foot up by the hands. Stay on the toes or drop the left knee, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling them down and taking the left foot to the front. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come up. Exhale, the hands to the heart. And last time on the left, inhale, reach. Exhale, fold with soft knees. Left foot steps back. Stay on the toes or drop the knee down, inhaling, reaching it up. Exhaling it down, taking the right foot back. Downward dog or child's pose. Inhale the plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward dog or child's pose. Left foot steps up by the hands. Stay on the toes or drop the right knee, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling them down, taking the right foot to the front. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come up. Exhale, the hands to the heart. And take a few deep breaths here. Open mouth exhales if you need them. Maybe with an audible sigh. Slowing the breath down. Let's inhale it up. Exhale, swan dive down, forward fold with soft knee, stepping the right foot back. We'll turn that foot out 45 degrees and drop the heel, keeping the left knee bent, walking our way up that left leg. For Virabhadrasana Echo Warrior 1. So I always like to adjust my hips in this pose. If you want, take your right hand, gently press your right hip, bring it a little bit more forward. And then whatever arms you like for your Warrior 1. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Making sure that our left knee is stacked right over the left ankle or behind it. We'll release the hands to the hips and straighten out the left leg. Stepping the right foot up a little closer, shortening the stance. If you feel kind of wobbly here, you can step your right foot out towards the right side of your mat a little bit more. Placing our left hand on the low back, reaching the right arm up. Inhale, extend the spine. Exhale, reach out over the left leg. Moving into twisting triangle. So resting the right hand on the left leg, on the mat, or bringing a block if you have one. Turning the torso to the left. Leaving that left hand on the back for stability, or maybe extending that arm up toward the ceiling. Stacking our joints in our arms. Squeezing the tops of the thighs together. Let's release the left hand down, bending the left knee so we can get both hands to the mat. And then we'll step this right foot back, take a nice big step, and lower the knee down. Coming into a low lunge. So you might want to pad this right knee. Make sure that your left knee is stacked over your left ankle in the front. The right knee is behind the right hip in the back. And then we'll bring both hands to the right of the foot, making our way into lizard. So lizard, we have a lot of options here. We can stay up on the palms. We can lower, maybe resting the elbows on a block or taking them all the way down to the mat. We can leave this left foot where it is, or we can walk it out towards the left side of the mat, heel toe it out. We can stay on the sole of the foot, or we can roll to the outside edge of that foot, let that knee kind of chicken wing out to the side. We can even create a little bit of movement here. If you do decide to move this pose, do so very slowly and mindfully. It's a pretty intense pose. Listening to that hip, finding out what it needs today. We'll start to make our way out of this. So if you're on your elbows, come back up to your palms. If you walk that foot out, walk it back in so that we can bring one hand on either side of it. And then we're going to walk the hands back, straightening out the left leg, coming into half monkey god pose. You might want to slide your left heel out away from you a little bit more. Hands can rest on the mat. You could bring in a block, or you can rest your hands on either the thigh or the shin. Please do not push down on your knee joint. Flexing that left foot, let's inhale and lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold. And then we're going to twist this. So let me back up a little bit. We're going to walk the hands to the left side of the mat. Keep your toes pointed straight up and twist this. And then we'll unwind our twist. Let's come back into that lunge. And then from here, we're going to move into Kapotasana, our pigeon pose. So we're going to heel toe this left foot over to the right side of the mat. So just walk it on over. And then we'll bring the left knee down on the left side of the mat. That lower leg's going to want to kind of tuck underneath you. Go ahead and let it do that. And then maybe slide that right leg back. And we're in our pigeon pose. Now, if this is a no-go for your knee, please roll over onto your back, cross your left ankle over your right thigh, reach your left arm through and below the right leg. Okay, so do that figure 4 on your back. If you're staying in pigeon, keeping the hips level and then folding when you're ready. You could prop underneath the left hip if you like. Resting the head on your hands, the block, or the mat. And then we'll release coming up, planting the hands at the front of the mat, tucking the right toes under. You can come back to down dog or child's pose if you need to take a little break. If you want to kind of warm back up with a vinyasa, step back into plank, move through chaturanga, upward dog or cobra, and then we'll make our way back to down dog. So your legs should feel different from each other. We've done a lot on one side. We haven't done as much on the other side. There should be a pretty significant difference between the two sides. Let's go ahead and balance that out now. Stepping the right foot up by the hands. Turning the left foot out 45 degrees. Dropping the heel. Walking our way up that right leg. Maybe adjusting the hips. Using the left hand to gently guide the left hip forward. Whatever arms you like for your warrior 1. Relaxing the shoulders. Breathing here. We'll release hands to the hips. Straightening out the right leg, stepping the left foot up a little closer. Maybe stepping it out towards the left side a little bit, placing the right hand on the low back. The left arm reaches up. Inhale, extend the spine. Exhale, reach out over the right leg. Folding, resting the left hand on the leg, bringing in a block, or placing the hand on the mat. Turning to the right. Leaving your right hand on your low back or extending it up. Revolved or twisting triangle. Releasing that right hand down. Bending the right knee so we can get both hands to the mat. Stepping that left foot back. Pretty decent size step. Dropping that right knee. Untuck the toes. So we're in that low lunge again. Right knee stacked over the right ankle. Left knee behind the left hip. Making our way into lizard, bringing both hands to the left of the foot. And again, any of those options that we did on the first side, you can take any of them on this side. And remember, you don't have to do the same thing on this side that you did on the first side. So you can stay up on your palms or you can lower. Leave that foot where it is or walk it out towards the right edge of your mat. Stay on the sole of the foot or roll to the outside edge of that foot. Stay still or move move back and forth between the sole of the foot and the outside edge of your foot, that pinky toe side of your foot. And then we'll make our way back out of lizard. So coming up to your palms if you lowered, walking that foot back in if you walked it out. Bring one hand on either side of that foot, and then we'll walk the hands back as we straighten out the right leg. Maybe sliding that right heel out away from us a little bit more, coming into Ardha Hanumanasana, not Ardha Chandrasana, half monkey God pose. Inhaling, lengthening the spine, exhaling, deepening the fold. Nice hamstring stretch, nice calf stretch if you're really flexing that right foot and pulling the toes towards your face. And then we'll twist our pose. So coming up a little bit and then walking the hands to the right side of the mat. So you might feel this more intensely on one side than the other. This side, I feel a lot more intensely than I did on the other side. And then we'll unwind that twist, come back into our lunge, and then from there, make our way into pigeon. So go ahead, heel toe your right foot over to the left side of your mat. Bring the knee down on the right side of the mat. Let that lower leg tuck underneath you. Slide that left leg back. Prop underneath the hip if you need to. Fold when you're ready. Remember, you can always take a figure 4 on your back if this is really not making your knees happy. And we'll release, coming up. Planting the hands at the front of the mat, tucking the left toes under. You can come back to down dog, child's pose, or to plank for that vinyasa. And then from downward dog, we'll just walk the feet up to the hands. Placing hands on shins or thighs, extend the spine, look forward. Take a few deep breaths here. On the next exhale, folding. Inhaling, reverse swan dive, come all the way up. Exhaling the hands to the heart. So for our standing balance today, we are going to do dancing Shiva. So you may want a strap for this pose. You may want to move closer to a wall or just come off of your mat onto a more firm surface. I'm on carpet, so it doesn't really matter where I go in my room. It's all carpeted, so it's all kind of the same. If you want to try using a strap today, unroll it, fold it in half, and then just kind of throw it over your shoulder. And I'll put it over the shoulder so you guys can see it a little bit better. Okay. And then if you decide not to use it, just sits there. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. So starting with our feet, our foundation, we'll bring our feet hips width apart and parallel, toes spread and relaxed. And if you prefer to do a different standing balance, tree or warrior 3 or half moon, that's fine too. Let's shift the weight onto our right leg, and we'll start by bringing our left toes out in front of us a little bit with the knee bent. So this may be where you stay here with the toes on the floor. If you feel pretty steady, you can start to take that leg up. So if you're using a strap today, you're going to grab the strap in your right hand and take the loop of the strap around the bottom of that left foot and then extend the leg. Okay, so that's how you would use the strap for this pose. If you're not using a strap, your options are to take your right hand and reach for the outside of the left thigh, or take your first two fingers and thumb, wrap them around the big toe of your left foot, and then extend the leg. And then we'll take the left arm up and to the back. And then if you feel pretty steady there, you can turn your head and look over your back shoulder. And we'll release. Rolling out your right ankle. Reset your feet. Get your strap ready if you're going to use it. Reestablish that nice foundation for Baddha Bandha. Shifting the weight onto the left leg. Take the right toes out in front of you. Keeping the toes on the floor, bringing that knee up. Maybe using the strap, holding it in your left hand, looping it around the bottom of your right foot and extending the leg. Otherwise, take your left hand to the outside of the right knee, or take your first two fingers and thumb around your right big toe and extend the leg. Right arm comes up into the back. And then maybe take your gaze over that right shoulder. And release. Rolling out your left ankle. Making our way back to mat. Coming to the top of the mat, inhaling, reaching arms up. Exhaling, swan dive down, forward fold with soft knees. Stepping the feet back one at a time. Coming to downward dog. And then we'll drop the knees. And come into child's pose. Any version you like. Resting here. And we'll go ahead and sit up. Taking the legs around to the front. Coming into staff pose, Dandasana, extending the legs out long. You can move some of the flesh up from underneath your sit bones. You can elevate your hips on a blanket if you like. Flexing the feet, we'll inhale and reach the arms up. Exhaling as we fold, hinging from the hips. So reaching for your feet, or using a strap to extend your reach, or grabbing a hold of the ankles, shins, or the thighs. Let's inhale and lengthen the spine a little bit more. Exhaling as we deepen the fold. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Nice deep breaths. And release, coming up. If you're using a strap, leave it wrapped around the bottom of your left foot and take your right foot out. And then we'll bend the right knee and let that knee open out to the right side for Janu Shirshasana. You can prop something underneath the right knee if you like. Placing one hand on either side of the left leg, turning the chest to face the leg, inhaling as we lengthen the spine, exhaling as we fold. So reaching for your foot or strap or anywhere along the leg. You can take a cross grip with your hands if you like. And release, coming up. Let's grab a hold of this right ankle and we're going to take it across the left thigh, making a figure four. So you want to make sure that your right foot is not sitting on the left leg. You should be able to rotate that foot around. And if the weight of your leg on top of that left knee is a little bit bothersome, What you can do is you can take a block if you have one and prop it underneath that foot, and then that kind of lifts it up a little bit. Let's inhale, lengthen the spine again, exhaling as we fold. And we'll release. If you've got a block underneath your foot, go ahead and remove it. Let's take the foot to the floor on the outside of the left thigh. You can leave your left leg straight or bend it underneath you. Hugging the knee with the left arm, the right arm comes behind us and we twist. So you can stay hugging your knee. And I actually recommend hugging the knee if you really want to target that sciatic area, that IT band. This would be your best bet. If you'd like a little bit more sensation in the spine, you can take your elbow past your knee. And it's just about what you want to get out of this pose, where you want to feel it more. And then if you are able to bind, I kind of find that to be the best of both worlds. For me, I get a little bit of each. I get a little bit of that, more of the twist and also the outer hip stretch. And then we'll release, extending that right leg out long, bending the left knee, letting that knee open out to the left side. Again, you can prop underneath the knee. If you're using a strap today, set it up around the bottom of your right foot, placing one hand on either side of the right leg, turning the chest to face the leg, inhaling as we lengthen, exhaling as we fold, reaching for the foot or strap or anywhere along the leg, taking that cross grip again if you want. And we'll release, coming up. Bringing that left knee up, stepping that foot up and over to the outside of the right thigh. Right leg can stay straight or you can bend it underneath you. Hugging the knee with the right arm, the left arm comes behind us and we twist. So again, you can stay here, especially if you want to get more of that outer hip stretch. If you want more of the spinal twist, bring your elbow past your knee and press the elbow into the knee. Go a little deeper into that twist. Or maybe reach that right arm between the legs, come behind the back with the left and bind. And we'll release. So keeping the legs crossed. So remember back to the beginning of practice where we did the lying down Gomukhasana. Now time has come to do the seated version. So from this twist, if you don't already have that right leg bent underneath you to the left, go ahead and bend it now. And then we're going to try and line our knees up and have them stacked. So I actually will physically take my hands and press so that they are lined up and stacked on top of each other. And then you might need to walk your feet out away from you a little bit. Again, if this is too much, come onto your back, do the lying down version we did earlier. Otherwise, stay upright, grab a hold of your ankles and fold. So there is an arm portion to this pose, but we're just going to focus on the lower body part of this pose tonight and not worry about the shoulder stretch. So it's a little bit different sensation. Now we have gravity kind of helping us get a little bit more sensation here. Releasing the fold, and you can either just switch your feet like a normal person, or if you want, take your hands to your right, a little bit behind you. Come up onto the balls of your feet, walk your hands around behind you in a circle, rotating on the balls of the feet, and then sitting back down once you're facing forward again, and now your other leg is on top. So make any adjustments that you need to. Grab a hold of your ankles and fold. Go ahead and uncross your legs and we'll come all the way down onto the back. You can hold on behind the knees, coming down one vertebrae at a time and then hugging the knees into the chest, rocking from side to side, circling those knees around, first in one direction, and then in the opposite direction. Coming to center, we'll open up the knees and reach the arms between the legs, either taking your first two fingers and thumbs around the big toes or just grabbing onto your feet. And then we'll bring the feet up toward the ceiling, coming into happy baby. So opening up those hips, pressing that tailbone down towards the floor. And then maybe rocking this pose. You don't have to move this pose if you don't want to. And returning to center, bringing the soles of the feet together, grabbing a hold of the ankles, pulling the ankles towards you and using your elbows to press your knees away from you. So doing a lying down version of our butterfly. And then releasing, hugging the knees into the chest, extending arms out to a T, either dropping both knees to your right, or if you like, cross the left leg over the right thigh first, and then take the knees to the right. Keeping both shoulders on the mat, maybe looking down that left arm. And we'll release and switch sides. So if you cross legs one way, cross them the other way, and we'll take the knees to the left. And release. Uncrossing the legs if they're crossed. Hugging the knees into the chest, bringing the forehead up to meet the knees, squeezing everything in nice and tight. And then releasing it all down. So preparing for Shavasana, final relaxation. So if you want to put any layers on at this time, or if you want to make your space darker, you want to turn out the lights, or grab an eye pillow, grab whatever props you might want. See if I can put my sweatshirt back on. There we go. And then just settling in to any comfortable position you choose for your meditation this evening. Most people like to lie down, but if you don't want to lie down, you can be seated, or you can do legs up the wall, even if that's available to you. Concentrate on your breathing. With each breath, feel your body expand and contract. As you let go of each breath, your mind begins to clear and your body lets go of its tension, allowing your thoughts and body to come to complete stillness. You are quiet, tranquil, and serene. Allow your eyes to close as you feel these sensations. Allow yourself to drift into a deeper state of relaxation. Breathing deeply and allowing your imagination to roam until you find yourself walking in a winter forest. You are walking in a forest where everything is blanketed by soft white snow from a recent snowfall. As you walk on this snowy path, you slowly emerge from the trees into a large, open, snowy field. In the far distance is a snow-covered mountain with a sheer cliff face. Suddenly, near the top of the mountain, a large section of snow slides off the cliff and falls, thundering down the slope until it eventually ends in a huge puff of white. In the aftermath of the avalanche, all is silent. Nothing stirs. The snowy field and mountain are completely quiet and calm. Allow yourself to enjoy the stillness. And we'll start to wiggle fingers and toes, circling ankles and wrists. And reaching the arms up overhead, just stretch. And release. And either rolling to one side or hugging the knees into the chest. Taking a few deep breaths as you prepare to come up to seated. And when you're ready, making your way into any comfortable seat you choose to finish your practice this evening. Sitting up nice and tall and dropping the chin to the chest. Taking the right ear towards the right shoulder. And left ear to left shoulder. Bringing the head up, taking the hands behind the head and looking all the way up. And releasing, taking 3 deep breaths, inhaling the arms up. And exhaling them down. Inhaling up. And exhaling down. One more time, inhaling it up. Bringing the hands together at heart center as we exhale. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.